streams work together. We actually do a bit of a preview show on our what do you call it, the YouTube, on our YouTube channel. Now that you guys can see us, and you can see we have some pretty cool things planned for today. We've got a bit of a demonstration area that you guys can check out, but we've also got we're going to be taking your questions. So if you've been working with your dog, doing any crate training, we'll talk about all the reasons why using crates are really helpful. But if you're working on something, you're having some challenges with your dog or your puppy, then we have some suggestions for you and things that we have worked with our students on that have been really, really helpful. So I am excited to welcome you guys to the pre-show. This is the show before the show. So Kale and I are...
I want to ask you about this light.
Yes, fire away.
I feel like it's really quite bright.
But it's not. If you see, look at your exposure here. I know it looks bright. I don't know. You guys let us know at home. Are we well lit? Maybe we'll get suntans on this side of our faces. I see we have some people jumping in on the YouTube and on Facebook as well. Mark Falco, 7 week old, comes home Sunday. Yikes! That's really exciting. I'd love to know. Exciting. Yeah, what kind of breed of dog is coming home? Samantha plays. Hi there, Sam. Poyaki, my first time tuning in since I discovered you guys. Welcome. I'm glad you could join us. And Crazy Things I Do says hi. Okay, so I see Maya says it's good. I agree. It's hard to know though. Like in this lighting, it seems really bright. Like it's very bright. You can't look that way.
My big head is blocking it.
Yeah, I know. So. I'll just stay in the shade over here. Try to not get the suntan on one side of my face, but I think it's looking okay for you guys at home. And Samantha Plays says it's looking okay. So I'm excited to share some stuff with you guys. We have a pretty full card tonight talking about crate training. I actually pulled some of the comments from one of our previous crate training videos, a couple of things that you guys may be experiencing at home, so we can go over some of the things that we talked about. And I keep really busy answering those questions and comments on our videos. So be sure if you have any questions at all, just drop it in the comments. So if you guys are watching the replay of this and you have any other questions or things you need clarified, drop it in the comments on YouTube and I'll be sure to check that out. But I want to welcome our YouTube audience. I want to welcome our Facebook audience. We're still getting the hang of this, so bear with us if you feel like it seems to be not running super smooth. We're still trying to figure out how to moderate all the comments and see who's chatting with us. But at any point tonight, if you think of something, we're going to be taking breaks in between, the teaching and the talking and the showing. As I mentioned before, we're going to show this off to you guys. You guys will see the crate, and Kale's going to do some exercises, and we're going to talk about how it can be really helpful for teaching your dog how to be good in their crate and all the reasons that a crate is good for a puppy and good for an adult dog. All of our dogs have their own crates. They go sleep in their own crates. Mm-hmm. So we'll get into that in a little bit. But something I've sort of spilled the beans a little bit because when Kale was Kale's teaching agility all day. What did you get up to today? You were teaching agility in privates?
I did some videotaping for my July agility online class, and then I taught a bunch of privates. 95% of them were from the States.
Oh, wow.
Today.
Very cool.
Which was kind of fun. Some people that I've worked with before, so it was a good day. And then I attempted to do more videotaping, but by then I was mentally very tired, so I just went on a great walk around the outside of our property with all the dogs and enjoyed the sunshine, and it was definitely a good choice. Yeah. The dogs loved it, and I loved it.
I bet. Yeah, it sounds like a full day. But while Kale was away today, I was setting this up. I was getting the live stream ready for you guys, and I was thinking, I wanted to name the camera that is shot too, like when we're going to do some demonstrative stuff in a minute. And I was thinking, like, what can I call this camera? Maybe it's like the train camera, but I came up with a way better idea, and you guys let me know if you like it. It's the train station camera. Now, I can see Kale covering her eyes. You guys can't, I hope I'm back in time. You can see Kale covering her eyes, but I love this idea. I think we call this,
I have to deal with this all of the time.
The train station. Is that not a great idea? How about this? Every time somebody says train station, you got to go woot, woot.
I'll leave that up to you, sweetheart.
Oh, I think this is a great idea. Let me know what you think in the chat, in the comments below.
Oh my God.
I'm going to just start doing it, and then we'll see. We'll see if this is going to work or not. But to be honest, while I was putting this together, and I started typing out train station because I think it's really funny, and then I started laughing to myself. And you know what? It's so not funny, but it's like hilarious to you. And you start laughing at the fact that you're laughing at something that's so stupid.
You sound like a crazy person right now.
Totally, yeah. But that's why.
Totally.
Yeah, no, I totally get it. I can appreciate that entirely, because if you walk in the room.
Thank you. See, she said, "Oh God."
Oh.
Thank you, Maya.
Okay, so one
We're
vote
on the
against.
same team. High five.
That's one vote against.
High five.
That doesn't necessarily mean that it's out. Anyway,
Melissa Salt. Are you the one? Do you have dachshunds? Is that the same Melissa Salt? I know a Melissa Salt, I think, that has miniature dachshunds.
I see Samantha Place has a couple of questions. We'll definitely get to that. She's talking about her dog barking in his crate. And this is something that some people have to address, with their puppy, and something that I had to address. Now, when I came to McCann Professional Dog Trainers, I started as a student there many years ago. And when I went there, I'd given my young Labrador all the wrong information. And I ended up with a dog who I was really worried about keeping her safe. She'd gotten into things, eaten a sock. I had to get surgery. She wouldn't listen. She was just really challenging. See, look, crazy things I do. I'm going to stop that sentiment. Choo choo. I love it. Yeah, I see this is going somewhere. This becomes the train station. Anyway, getting back to Deegan. With Deegan, I struggled a little bit. And one of the things that Deb McCann had mentioned to me, Kale's mom, one of the co-founders of McCann Professional Dog Trainers, was, have you started trying to use a crate? And I hadn't. I started using a crate with Deegan, as well as, in conjunction with going to weekly lessons, and her life and my life turned around entirely. Like it was a night and day difference. I mean, through some work and some effort, but I want to tell you guys about some of the tricks that I learned, transitioning an adult dog into a crate, and how I worked through it. Those are some things we're going to talk about tonight here on the live stream.
Melissa Salt, yes. Phoenix and Beatrice. I absolutely remember Phoenix. I'm not sure if I remember Beatrice. I feel like that might be your younger one, but I absolutely remember that name, and I remember that you have dachshunds. How crazy is that?
Yeah, no kidding.
Here's a student of ours.
I see a couple of comments coming in, or questions coming in. We will definitely get to those. We are approaching the end of the pre-show, ready to get into the crate training show. I'm excited. All aboard is all I'll say at this point.
You are far more energetic than I am right now.
I know. I got to pull it out of Kale sometimes. She's taught all day. We're going to make it exciting. Woot, woot. Oh, that was a terrible high five, too. It was awful. But we have to get things going here in just a couple moments. But I do see some great questions. So we will be sort of circling back to those questions. So hang tight. And again, if something comes up, even if you've asked a question and something comes up in your mind, don't be afraid to drop it in the chat, whether you are part of our YouTube audience or our Facebook audience. We'd like to help you guys out tonight and answer some of the questions that you might have, because crate training can be challenging. But the benefits, so far outweigh the challenges and the negatives. So that is the end of our pre-show. And we're ready to get into it. And we've got to start. We record a podcast sometimes at the same time as doing our live stream. Excuse me. So we've got to set that up. But we're ready to go, and we're ready to get learning. All aboard the train.
This is going to be a long hour.
Train? Oh, you tell me about it. There are lots of benefits to using your crate with your dog or puppy, whether it be for management, whether it be for their safety, maybe it's travel, transportation. There's a whole host of reasons why you'd want to use a crate with your dog, but training your puppy to love their crate can be challenging. So tonight we're going to talk to you about a few tips that we use to really make our dogs love their crates and really make it a safe, comfortable, happy place for them to be. And we're also going to be answering your more questions tonight here on the show about crate training. So make sure you drop it in the chat, whether you're on Facebook or YouTube, and we'll be happy to answer it. And on that note, I'm Ken Steep.
I'm Kel McCann.
Welcome back to McCann Dogs. So one of the challenges that I have is that our audio, it's hard to monitor the audio, and I don't know what the timing's like for you guys, but I hope that was relatively seamless. But I want to get right into talking about crates, the types of crates, because there are a lot of different kinds of crates. And sometimes I wonder if people are maybe using the wrong size, style of crate for their dog, and maybe that's why they're facing some of the struggles that they are. So I want to talk about some crate types, and we posted a video that we shot with our really good friends at Wren's Pets a while ago that talked about a couple different kinds of crates. And sort of the main two that you're going to encounter when you're out there are the hard-sided crates and then wire crates. And there are benefits to both of them for sure. And I don't know if you want to jump in here and maybe talk about just the benefits of the hard-sided crate.
Yeah, we prefer the hard-sided crates, mostly because our dogs prefer the hard-sided crates. They are a little cleaner in your house if you're concerned about that at all. They're also safer in your car if you're going to be traveling with them. And we find that our dogs really find them to be more like a den feel because they're a little bit more enclosed. So we find that our dogs tend to like them a little bit better. However, they're perfectly comfortable in wire crates. We have wire crates in our trailer and also in a couple other areas where the dogs, are happy to go in. But it is important that whatever crate that you get is going to be secure and that your dog feels comfortable in it. And then don't think that because your dog is making noise or unsettled that it's the crate's issue. It could be, we're going to talk a lot about behavior and why some of those things happen, but some of it's personal preference and some of it will be, the dogs will prefer one over the other as well.
Yeah, for sure. And when you talk about wire crates, now often wire crates are a little more boxy, a little bit more difficult to manage if you have multiple dogs. However, they provide more airflow for sure, which is really helpful. They also break down really easily. You pop the doors, you open the doors, and you can pop them down and travel with them or transport them to wherever you're going next. So, I mean, those are some real benefits, and they're often, they'll have 2 doors. Like you can open them on either one end or the other, which is also a beneficial thing for the wire crates. But as Kale mentioned, we use the hard-sided crates with our dogs, the plastic sided crates for a lot of reasons. And some of the big ones are like their cleanliness, as well as that, that sense of, an enclosed space for the dog so that they can go and rest and relax. And while we have other dogs free, they're just a little bit more relaxed in those crates, I think. But talking about crate uses. So when we bring a puppy home, that is their bedroom. The puppy can go in their crate. They can have a little snooze. They can come out. When we travel with our dogs are in crates, and the crates are restrained. When we, in our house, we have a little dog area. Our dogs have their own crates that they can go into and just relax. We'll also feed them in their crates. We'll let them, just have that personal space. And we talked a couple of weeks ago about the idea that someone was uncomfortable. They felt like, well, why would I want to cage my dog? And that's really casting human emotions on our dogs. But if you want to cast human emotions, then how would you feel if you didn't have a bedroom? It's a personal place to feel safe, to go into, to relax, to just do your own thing. And that's one of the benefits. But some really important uses for crates are management of your dog, especially management of your puppy. When your puppy's little, they're learning all the time, whether it's good or bad. Everything they do as they explore the world, they're learning. And a really great way to sort of manage that time for your puppy and make sure that they're always safe, they're always getting great information, is by using a crate.
Yeah, I honestly don't think that I would enjoy dogs or like dogs as much as I do if I didn't raise them with a crate, because they're cute and they're adorable and I love puppies so much, but in moderation in like little spurts of time, because they can get into mischief. They're busy, and sometimes you need a break, and sometimes they just need a break as well. And it's important, like Ken said, they're learning all of the time. So if you're not putting them in a situation where they're not going to have the opportunity to make bad choices, then you're going to end up preventing a lot of issues that a lot of people have to come to us and with a 12-month-old dog, 9-month-old dog that are still having chewing issues, and these issues that we overcome in the first couple of weeks of getting a dog, simply because we can crate them when we're not able to give them good information. So it's really, I wouldn't do it any other way, and I'm not really sure how people survive with dogs without a crate, to be honest with you.
I just worry about the puppy's safety. As well
absolutely.
as your state of mind. So Kale mentioned a little bit that you can be tired. So at the end of the day, you can be really tired, and maybe you can cuddle with your puppy and play with your puppy, but then your puppy's got this burst of energy, and you play with them for a bit, and then you've run out of gas. You need to be in a good headspace. You always need to be looking at things positively with your puppy, and make sure that you're not so tired and frustrated that you can't manage them correctly and end up, bursting out and scolding them for something that really was a management issue that they shouldn't have gotten into in the first place. So there are lots of reasons traveling. So we're actually looking after Kale's mom and dad's dogs this weekend, and they brought them over, and we have crates for them. Those dogs are very used to going in their crates. So, it's like this home away from home. If you plan on traveling this summer, it's really nice to know that your dog can have a comfortable, relaxing place that's their own, that you can just, hand off to your family members or send along with them to wherever they're staying.
Or even on top of that, like there's times where maybe you need to get your dog spayed or neutered, or for some reason your dog has to go to the vet, and when they're in the vets, they have to go into a crate, and being at the vet for whatever reason is already a pretty stressful thing for dogs. And then if they're not used to crates, and then they're out of vet, and then they have to go in a crate when they're there, because obviously they just can't run around the vet office.
Right.
That's even more stressful. So, regardless of whether you intend to crate your dog forever or not, we have several dogs in our home that are never crated anymore unless they're, at work with me or they're in the car. But when they're home here, they're not in crates, although they have the opportunity to go in should they wish to, because their crates are there and open. But it just allows me to be able to travel with them and put them in a bunch of scenarios. I fly all over the world with my dogs in crates, and because they're used to them, it allows me to put them in situations where I'm not worried about their stress level, that's really important to me, because my dog's well-being is my first and most important thing on my mind.
Yeah, totally. So let's just see if there's any comments or questions in the chat that you want to address. And just as a side note, I had forgotten that I put in "Welcome to the train station" on our main title on the ticker bar. So I want to welcome you guys to the train station. Root, root.
I'm just going to pretend you're not there.
I know, yeah. She's pretty good at that.
What do you want me to
I'll just see what people are saying, what people are asking, if there's anything that you think we should address. The next topic we're going to talk about are maybe some games that we can play with our puppy.
Okay. One thing here, Samantha Plays says, I use a sheet over his crate. He's a basset hound and he barks really loud. So we're going to definitely talk about what happens if your dog is barking in the crate. Covering the crate like you would a bird with a bird cage can be a helpful method, but it is definitely it's band-aiding the problem, so it's solving the problem in that moment, but it's not fixing the problem long term. So we can get into that a little bit later, but for some dogs it does work very effectively, but it does mean that they're closed off from what's going on, and that's not always the best situation. So that's a great temporary thing to do. You know, we have nothing against that. I've used that technique with my own dogs, but there are other solutions that will stop it altogether.
Yeah, and we'll talk a little bit about those in just a couple of minutes when we're talking about some problem solving
stuff. Hi, Karen. I see a hi there. Using crates since my second dog back in the
this is the Doberman guy who's a frequent live stream follower. Yeah.
Using crates since my second dog back in 1996, and I used to travel in car in a secure way. Absolutely, we couldn't agree more. One of my females loves her crate. Door is always open, and she cries when the door is closed. So we're going to talk a little bit about that because we want you to be able to put the dog in the crate with the door open or the door closed.
And who asked that question?
The Doberman guy.
Oh, okay.
Because the crate's not very useful if you can't put them in it and shut the door.
Yeah.
Now, eventually, once they're older and, you don't really care about confining them in your house, and it's not that big of a deal. But when they're young, we definitely want the dog comfortable going in and having the door shut and understanding that you sometimes can give them all the freedom in the world, and then sometimes you can take it away from them because you're the pack leader and you're in charge, and that's an important lesson for puppies to learn. Someone else said they're going to a pet-friendly dog hotel by the beach this summer.
Yeah, that sounds like fun.
That sounds like so much fun.
I know.
Our dogs love the beach and
Yes,
love
they
swimming,
do.
so that sounds like a blast. But yeah, if you're going to a hotel, there's a lot of hotels that have like a lot of crazy pet fees and all these things because they require a lot of cleaning. So, it's common courtesy to go to a hotel. When we go to a hotel with our dogs.
Yeah, this is a great point.
With our younger dogs, we will, actually all of our dogs basically, we will bring like soft-sided crates or portable crates once our dogs are able to be in them. And so if we're going to go out for dinner or something for the night, we'll either take our dogs with us if the hotel has stated that you're not allowed to leave dogs, or we'll leave them in their crates in the room so that if for some reason like the cleaning staff comes in or something, even though you put the thing on the door telling them not to, but you just never know. Our dogs are secured, and like, can you believe like if they were loose and somebody opened the door and they got out, or it would just be horrible. And then the other thing is we always bring a bed sheet with us. So I just purchased like a king size bed sheet, and I just put it in my luggage so that if my dogs are going to be out and about and they happen to get up on the bed, I'm not getting dog hair all over the stuff. I have it covered. So if they want to lay on the bed, that's fine. But I try to be courteous of the people's place that I'm staying
Some
in.
great travel tips. Not necessarily crate training stuff, but there's the crazy things I do that was going on that trip. Anyway, have fun. Got some great tips there. Now I see the Doberman guy just said she cries when the door is closed and she's outside the crate because she wants to go back inside.
Oh, okay. That is adorable.
That is really cute. And she obviously loves her crate.
What a good girl.
I know. So let's get to some of these exercises. And I know I mentioned that we had some games, and games is like such a trendy term right now. I mean, for the past little bit, but I think, to me,
exercises, drills.
Yeah, exercises makes more sense because a game implies that somebody's going to lose. An exercise,
Training techniques.
we're going to get the work done. Yeah. So why don't you grab maybe Beeline?
Sure.
And we can get to some of the exercises, and you guys can check it out. Now, although I'm going to have to moderate or adjust the volume for you guys because Kale's teaching is going to be happening behind us right here on the train station camera. But when she comes back, woot woot. But now that she's back, I'm going to have to try to make sure that the audio's okay. So let me know in the chat if the audio is good when Kale starts her teaching in just a moment. And let's get down to some of the exercises that you're going to do with Beeline here. I think these guys could really benefit from this. I'll get some light on here.
So the very first time I bring the puppy home, I usually will just physically, place the puppy in the crate and let them get out. But then very quickly, I start to play a bunch of games that teach the dog to love their crate. And I'm going to warn you that I have our other dogs are just lying down off to the side here. And I've played these particular games with every one of these dogs. So when they start to hear me train and get excited, if you hear whimpering, it's because I feel like those guys want to come on over.
Or if you hear barking. So if you have earphones on right now, you might want to turn the volume down.
I'll tell them to be quiet, but that's just, they've played this game too, so they know what it's all about. So when I get a new dog, for most of their life, but depending on how many dogs we have, they get all of their meals in their crate. So breakfast, dinner. So what starts to happen is I start to even put the kibble in the door, and the dogs will actually start to go into their crate automatically because they are learning that if they want their food, they have to go in their crate. And that's a great way to teach them to go in and out of their crate really easily. But to get them to go in the crate, we just play a couple little games. Okay, so one of them is really easy. I just take a couple of her treats, and I'll just hold on to her, show her some food. Okay, get it, and just throw the cookies in the crate. Okay. And then I do this. Okay, babe, here. And I let her come out right away again. So she doesn't have to stay in the crate. I don't shut the door initially. It's just go in. Okay, get it. Get your treat. Okay, come on out. Beeline. She doesn't want to come out because she knows she's going to get rewards. In your crate. Yes, good girl. So I can throw some treats in there and then have her come out. And then the second thing that I'll do is I'll play a shaping game. So this is sort of like a little hot and cold game. Now, this isn't going to be a great demonstration because she's already figured out to go into the crate. But initially what happens is if she like looks at the crate, for example, I would yes and reward. If she steps towards the crate, I would yes and reward. And I sort of work my way until she's offering to go in and out of the crate. And if she's a little bit hesitant, rather than yesing and rewarding her in front of the crate, I might even reward her by throwing the cookie in so she kind of has to go in and get it. And then I let her come back out again. Yes. Good girl. Okay. BBD. Yes. Good girl. Okay. Yes. Good girl. Okay. Good. Now you'll notice that when I want her to come out, I'm saying okay. And when you have a puppy, they probably won't know this yet, but the next thing that I teach the dog, or maybe not the next thing, but one of the things that I teach the dog is that I want them to remain in the crate until, I mean, where should I be looking right now?
That camera.
Okay. They need to remain in the crate until I release them, and that's so that if I open the door, my dog doesn't come barging out, into a bad situation if they're in the car. Maybe if they're just in the house and they're wild and crazy. So we have house lines on the dogs while they're in the house. So I would hook her up, and then I would tell her okay, and then I would let her come out from there. So here's just a couple things that I would do. I also play around with how I feed the dog. So I've been throwing the treats in the crate, yes, but I also could here.
Yeah.
I could just put my hand in the back of the crate. Okay, in the crate. Yes, good.
And this is really helpful because it builds value for the back of the crate rather than her being rewarded at the front.
Yes, good. Okay. Yes, good girl. Nice. Okay. So that's just sort of the in your crate kind of game that we do. That's a pretty common one. The other thing that I'll start to do as well is I'll work a little bit on teaching her to not barge out of the crate, and this sort of builds value for when you're trying to teach your dog to be comfortable going in the crate with the door shut. Now when I go to feed her breakfast or her dinner, I put the bowl in the crate, I shut the crate, I let her eat. If she's comfortable in the crate, I can just leave her in there until I'm ready to take her outside. Or sometimes after she's eaten, I'll actually let her out right away so that she's not contained in the crate for a really long period of time. It's like she goes in and out for short bursts that are very, very positive. Good girl, baby girlie. But then what I'll start to do is I'll shut the door. Good girl, yes. And I'll pop a couple cookies in there. Yes, good girl. And then I can start the training of teaching her to remain in the crate until I release her, even when I open the door. Hey, knock it off. You guys just relax. So I have some treats here. What I'm going to do is open the door, and if she tries to come out just all on her own, I'm just going to shut the door back again so that I want her to basically understand you barge out, you don't get to come out. And when she maintains her self-composure and she remains in the crate even when I swing the door open, of course I'm going to reward her and let her know how much I love that. Oh, you're sneaky. Get back in there, you turkey. Yes. Yes, good. Yes, that's so good. Okay. Try again. Good girl. Yes, good.
And you can really see Beeline putting this together.
So smart. Okay. Yay! Now, she's played this before, so what I can do is make it even harder on her. And again, this is just playing little games. Oh, yes. Little games that teach her that the crate is a good thing. So I have this food bowl here. Yes. Good girl. Yes. Good.
So what Kale's doing is essentially, giving Beeline a distraction.
Yes.
So she's forced to choose whether she leaps out of the crate to get it or she remains in the crate. And when she does remain in the crate, she's rewarded for that to really, reinforce the idea that the crate is where all the value is.
Yeah. Oops. Yes, good girl. Okay.
Maybe
Those are just a couple of the games. Do you want me to show anything else?
Yeah, maybe you can mention really quickly about sizing, because we can get Beeline to lie down in there, just because we didn't really talk about that.
Yeah.
The appropriate size for
Yeah,
her
and
dog.
actually just remembered something else. You may have noticed that I didn't really give her any type of command to go in the crate. I was kind of just letting her choose to go in on her own. I will start to place a command on this, so once I know she's sort of going to offer to go in really easily, then I'll start to add a command to it once I know that the behavior is established, and then I can start to reward her. So I could, I have my commands very boring. In your crate. Yes, good girl. Okay. Yes, in your crate. Yes, good girl. Okay, so I can start to add the word from there. Okay, in your crate again. Lie down. Good. So, as far as the sizing goes, now actually, to be honest with you, this crate's actually a little bit big for her.
Yeah.
It's one size up than what she really should be in, but we often give our dogs crates a little bit bigger than what their size is once they're completely crate trained and they're very comfortable in their crate. But one of the reasons why you don't want to have too big of a crate when they're first learning to be crate trained or even house trained is that some dogs will go to the bathroom in one end of the crate and then they still have a nice clean area in the other end of the crate to hang out. Most dogs aren't loving the fact that they will be lying in a dirty crate. So to teach them to not go to the bathroom in the crate, we suggest having it a bit smaller. So it should be the size of the puppy or dog should be able to stand up very easily without anything hitting it, and it should be able to lay down and stretch its legs out without the sides hitting them as well. And if you do have a larger breed dog that's a puppy, if you get a crate, you can put partitions in it or barricades, and then you can just grow it with the dog. And we have, how many crates do you think we have?
Multiple, I don't know,
Like
maybe 12 or
20,
15, yeah.
15.
Yeah.
So we have crates of many sizes. So what we'll do is just have a couple crates on the go. For the puppy. One is usually in our main room, one is in our bedroom, and the next one is in the car. Basically because we're lazy and we don't have to lug a crate every time we have to change locations with the dogs. Just way more convenient. But we just make sure that those crates are properly sized until the whole house training thing is done. And then once your crate training is done, if you'd like to, we put our dogs in crates that are a bit bigger because they're working dogs and, we're doing a lot of training and exercise. We never want to put the dog into a small sized crate after they've had a lot of exercise because it's not very good for their muscles. So we tend to, you're so cute. We tend to put our dogs in bigger crates for that reason. But we, again, recommend that you do that once your dog's actually crate trained and not going to the washroom. Yes.
Yeah. Great, so you can come on back, I guess, for a little bit. We can put B away and see if we can answer some questions. I'm going to bring you guys back from the train station. Whoop, whoop.
Oh, my God.
I see in the chat, though, Kale, people think the train station's good. I saw some choo-choos and some woo-woos.
They are just humoring you.
Well, either way, I find it humorous, so I'm happy with it. So make sure you drop your questions in the chat, whether you are on YouTube or you're on Facebook. We'd like to answer some of those questions, and maybe we can go back. I actually saw a couple of people ask questions about stuff, and then you'd answer it. Like,
really?
Melissa mentioned what we do to prevent them from barging out when you open the crate.
Perfect.
And then, shortly thereafter, you answered it, which was perfect.
Shut the door. Yeah.
So let's go back and just see if there's any questions on there that you'd like to talk about. I saw a really quick one. I'm gonna tackle the top one as you go look for more. So P032007, something like that. We just got our Vizsla last week. She's fine with a crate in the house. However, we took a test drive around the block in the crate, and she whined and howled. Any suggestions for the car ride to McCann's? Now, for sure, it's so nice knowing that she's comfortable in the crate at home, like in the house under no stimulation, no car rides. She gets it, and she seems to like her crate in that setting. So what I want you to do is take that crate and place it in the car, and then do some of these games with her. Have her jump in, have her, relax in there, reward her for being quiet, and maybe even just shut the door and sit in the car and turn it on, and then reward her for being quiet. Now, we should probably talk a little bit about, if the dog's making lots of noise in their crate, like if they're really barking, because, you have to do something to address it. You need to let them know that they're not allowed to bark their heads off while they're in the crate. And something that I had to do with Deegan, in fact, because she was a little bit rebellious and didn't really like the idea that she had a crate. So I had to work through it a little bit. Now I'm not going to. I'm going to bring us back to the train station camera. We might as well because.
Whoop, whoop.
Oh, you guys saw it. I can't wait to watch the replay. That was amazing. It's happening.
It won't happen again.
It's becoming the train station. I'm going to get a giant sign for this place that just says train station parking only. Do you park at a train station? I don't know. Anyway, let's go to camera 2. So, okay, B.
I'm going to watch you train my puppy.
No, she's not going to be in it.
Aww.
So, one thing I had to do with Deegan, if I could get do you have a leash around? I'm going to grab a leash. Kale, you fill time with maybe a song?
Okay, can they see me? Okay. I was going to do a dance.
Oh.
I'm just kidding. I wasn't going to dance.
You should just tell everyone that you're doing a dance. So something that I had to do with Deegan, now if your dog is making all kinds of noise in the crate, you want to do a couple of things. You want to be sure that you're there to manage it. Now, in this specific instance, we're talking about the dog, your visual being in the car, and this is, this isn't something that you're going to address while you're driving. So I want you to really work on that pre-driving stuff. So like rewarding her for being quiet in her crate when you guys aren't going anywhere, even if the car started, radio's on. We're just sort of, raising that level of distraction and difficulty for her before you challenge her with the motion. But something I had to do with Deegan, because she was really, really noisy when she first got in, when she first learned to go in her crate. I'd leave her for a little bit, and then she'd start to make some noise. So I basically brought the crate into the living room with me, because that's often when she'd start to get really loud and start to, object. So she'd start barking or something. I'd tell her, hey, knock it off. And that moment, that little distraction, that little distraction was enough for her to think, whoa, what's going on here? And when I had that break with her, when I had her recognize that she was being quiet, then I could praise her for that. And I could even reward her if I gave her enough time that she was quiet. If I saw her, if I give her that, hey, quiet, not you. It startled her, and she'd sort of, hi, cutie. She would sort of, okay, now you're just licking my face. She would, turn around and plop down because she knew that, barking in your crate wasn't really acceptable. The moment she hit the ground, I would praise that like crazy. I really was there to help her, to really give her the information. Like, this isn't what I want. This barking and noise and fussing and kicking, I'd knock that off. And when she'd be like, okay, fine, even if I had to do it 2 or 3 times, I would follow through, and I would make sure I was in a position where I could help her. So I would bring that crate closer to me to work through that. Now, something that I had to do, as I transitioned, I didn't want her to always be beside me, and she was getting really good about not making noise, but once in a while, she would, kick up a little fuss if, she decided that she hadn't played enough or something that day. So what I did, in fact, is I took one of our long lines from training, McCann Dog Trainers training, and I put it on the end of a leash. And I had a direct line of sight with Deegan. She was maybe 15 or 20 feet away from me, and I was able to sit on the couch and whatever, knowing that I was planning on training. That was my expectation, at least. Knowing that if she was going to make a mistake, I was there to help her be right. So if Deegan would make a noise, I'd just give her I would just make a noise on the front of her door, or if she was in a wire crate at that time, I would, make a little rattle, and that noise would she'd think, well, what the heck was that? And then she'd be quiet. And once she was quiet for a few seconds, that gave me an opportunity to praise her. Good, quiet, good girl. And she very quickly learned that, as much as she would make a fuss, she wasn't rewarded for that. But when she relaxed, it really brought her into the right mind, the right state of mind, where she'd relax and lie down. And when I'd capture that, when I'd see that happening, yes, good girl, good quiet, and I'd get in there and reward her for it. Now,
can I just, I'm not sure where you're going to go with that, but this technique that Ken's showing you with the leash attached to the crate is also really effective if you have dogs that only bark when you leave the room, and then when you come back in the room, they're quickly very quiet again. A lot of dogs have a bit of separation anxiety, and they don't really care if you're going to come back and smack on their crate because they get to see you. So that's enough for them. So, if you're around the corner and you just rattle the crate door with the long line and they're quiet, and then you can re-enter the room once the dog is quiet, that can be a really great way to make sure that you're positively reinforcing the correct things. So it's a helpful thing, because some dogs are great when you're right there with them, but we can't stand outside their crate their entire life. They have to learn to sometimes be in a crate when you're not there. So that can be a good way to bridge the gap and to teach the dog that if they're quiet, that's when they get to see you. That's when you're going to come back and praise and give them love. But, you're not just going to run to their beck and call each time they scream when you're not there.
So that brings up an interesting point. I see some great comments coming in on the chat, and we're definitely going to get to the Sepoyak's got a great question, and a couple other people, Crazy Things I Do. We see those guys, and we're going to get right back to those. But something people will do, and we don't really realize we're doing this, but we get home from wherever. Maybe we've gone to the store, or we've been outside doing something, and we've got our puppy in their crate. We come back inside, and the moment we come inside, we immediately make a beeline for that puppy's crate and let them out.
Great name for a dog.
What? Oh yeah, beeline. Maybe we should call. I can't think of any funny train station names.
Okay, woot, woot. Let's move on over.
We're coming back to it, guys. I see it. I feel the support for the train station name. Anyway, going directly to your puppy's crate, they start to anticipate the idea that every time I see my human, they're coming to let me out. So I can get excited. I can get really pumped up, and it's time to come out of my crate. So if you're feeling like every time you see your puppy, they're in their crate, they start to go bonkers, be really hyper aware. Maybe you're doing that. Maybe every time you come in the room and it's, you see your puppy.
Too big of a deal.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. You're the one who's triggering that behavior. So what you should do, and again, this is something you're going to plan for training, is, put your puppy in their crate and then maybe go outside for a couple of moments, come on back in, and then just don't pay any attention to them until they've relaxed. If your puppy gets really excited every time they see you and they're in their crate, just give them a few moments to relax. Now, the worst thing you could do is letting a dog, who is through the roof excited, out of that crate. It's so gratifying for them. So if you're trying to help them, really understand that their crate is a comfortable, be calm, and your crate is a really comfortable, safe place to be, then make sure you don't rush and allow them out of their crate immediately. Now, the caveat there is that if you've been away all day at work and you're working on potty training, then you might need to sacrifice the odd, you might need to sacrifice the odd time going right and helping them out by taking them outside.
But there's a way you can take them out, rather than being like, oh, hi, puppy, I've been away all day, you're so cute, and that high squeaky voice that everybody likes to talk to their dog, and that could send them over the roof. Just very calmly, almost quietly, just go in, put their leash on, take them out, and then when you bring them back in, they've relieved themselves outside, then you can do all your crazy cute puppy talk. God knows I do it. So there.
Okay, so we've got a couple good questions. Let's see if we can knock these out. A couple that just come in. Set them up to this chat. Oops. Which one do you want to do?
My dog still barks in the middle of the night, even when I tell her not to and praise her to stop. I'm not quite sure what you mean, praise her to stop. But if the dog is barking in the middle of the night and it is, the reason for it is because the dog just doesn't want to be in there, it's not because they actually have to go to the bathroom, then we recommend that you go through the steps that Ken and I just said.
Yeah.
The most common thing that people do is they simply try to stop the dog by telling them to stop. But keep in mind that dogs don't understand English. They don't know what quiet or what knock it off or settle or any of those things mean until we teach them what those mean. So if you're just trying to use your voice and saying quiet enough, that's like, somebody telling me to go get them a drink in Chinese. I would have no idea what they're talking about unless somebody taught me what it meant. Yeah. So keep that in mind if you're not actually following through with some type of correction, quote unquote.
Do something that's going to change the behavior. So tap the crate or do something like that.
You're not going to affect change. So just be aware that you're actually following through. Otherwise, we'll what will happen is you'll become a bit of a nag or sound like a broken record, and you could say quiet until you're blue in the face, and unfortunately it won't really make much difference, and then it's just going to raise frustration on your part, and we don't want that.
Yeah, and those words will lose value
Yeah.
because your puppy's heard it over and over and over again, and it just doesn't mean anything anymore. The same thing will happen with someone who calls their dog's name or says sit and doesn't help them to be right. I see a good question from, where is it? This one. I thought I read that quickly. My puppy from Good Nurse 99. My puppy never barks in her crate. The past couple of nights, she's been barking for hours at night while everyone is sleeping. I tell her to stop, and then when I walk away, she starts again. Now, when we have a young puppy who's learning to be in her crate or his crate or whatever overnight, we'll often have it in the room with us because it really allows us to know what's going on in there. It allows us also to address things just like this in a hurry.
It's good bonding too.
It's also great bonding. Yeah, yeah. So it's hard to know exactly what's happening, but from that comment, I would think that your puppy's being really great. And I'm not sure. Maybe we did a live stream last week about potty training, and when the puppy sometimes might just be making noise to make noise, thinking that they're going to get an opportunity to go outside. But sometimes the puppy's got to go potty. So sort of weigh your response on that. However, getting back to what I was talking about earlier, if you have the crate nearby you, it allows you to manage that puppy so much better, and it allows you to give them information about the crate. If your puppy starts to make noise in their crate, and you can do that little, hey, you quiet or whatever, and then they have an opportunity to relax. It also saves you from having to get up and go downstairs or down the hall or wherever you have to go to get your puppy to be quiet, because you can manage them right there. I don't know if you have anything to add to that.
Well, you cannot allow a dog to bark for hours, depending on the situation. If you live in an apartment building or you have neighbors or you have other family members that need to get up and go for work, it's not really something like there's times where we will sort of let the puppy cry it out, so to speak. So we'll let them sort of when they're young, because sometimes they'll just settle and they'll go to sleep. But we cap it off at a certain time. If the dog's really going and going and going and going, just because they're annoyed that they can't just come out and play whenever they want to, then we're going to address that by interrupting it in some manner that is effective. And if you do that and you get a few minutes or a few seconds of quiet, just hang there by the dog for a moment before you leave. But it does sound like the dog's not in the same room, and you may find that changing the location of the crate might solve your problem in the nighttime right away.
Yeah, and it reminds me a little bit of when I worked through this with Deegan, and when I would start to really, pat on that crate, have a moment where she was quiet. Sometimes I would think, okay, this is great, she's being quiet, but I could see she's still in that full standing position, just ready to start making noise again. What I learned to do was, hey, you knock it off, you be quiet, and then she'd relax. I'd wait a few seconds, and I'd see her sort of like that relaxed body posture, and then I might ask her to go lie down or something like that, or some other behavior other than standing there just ready to bark. And I was really successful with working through that with her, because remember, at that time she was a 2-year-old dog that hadn't been crated before, so I needed to work extra hard because she'd learned some really bad habits at that point.
Somebody else asked about bedding in the crate, and they said, so no bedding in the crate at all. When you have a young dog, you do want to be careful about the bedding in the crate because of the house training thing, but also for chewing. Some dogs will chew their bedding. A lot of our puppies have tried to chew bedding as young puppies, so we've had to take the bedding out, and then maybe a few weeks or a month or so later, we'll put it in and try it when we're not going to go anywhere, and we're like aware of what the dog is doing. Bee's had bedding in her crate probably. She actually didn't have bedding in her crate until she was probably like 9 or 10 months old, because if I put it in before that, she would just shred it and like play with it and chew on it, and I didn't want her to ingest any of it and get hurt, so she just laid on a flat bottom of the plastic crate, and she survived. She was totally fine.
But it serves two purposes. I mean, it helps your puppy potty train by not having the bedding in there. It also ensures that they can't get themselves in any trouble. But if your puppy is good, I would probably give them something like that's harder to shred up, and it isn't like an expensive crate bed or anything like that.
I usually start off with like a towel,
just
because it's cheap and it's not that big of a deal. before I go and get like the nice like cushy beds that they have in now.
But you're not going to do that and then put her in the crate for 6 hours.
No,
Right?
no, it'll be like little bits of time.
Yeah. Good. So I saw another one, and you may have missed it, but we were just talking about this. So someone had mentioned that they put their puppy in their crate, and then every time they leave the room,
Oh, we talked about that.
yeah. So this is I just want to touch base with Joan Gallagher. So my dog barks when I'm in the room, but is quiet when I leave. What techniques can I use to correct this? That leash or long line one, that's the one you're going to use to correct this. And you'll see that's a pretty common question. I know we got to ask that a lot in our other ones, but I want you to like set aside some time to train this. Like think about, for the next half hour or whatever, I'm going to sit down and I'm going to work on this, because if you're trying to manage it throughout your busy day, it's a lot harder.
Yeah, your timing's usually off. You're not usually as consistent. And, a lot of people say, well, I tried these techniques, but if you really look at your attempt, often people's timing is off. They're letting the dog bark too long before they address it, or they're not addressing it firmly enough, or they're not being consistent. Sometimes they're addressing it, sometimes they're not. Any of those things that aren't being followed through correctly can lead to it not being successful. So it's not like just a quick fix. Some of this stuff is going to take a little bit of practice and a little bit of training with your dog. But the whole out of the room thing, you also could get like a pocket mirror or something, and you can look at the dog from the other side of the corner, so you can see what's going on, so that your dog can't see you, and that way you can sort of look at their body language and judge whether you should go back to them or whether you should stay out of the room a little bit longer. I know that sounds like a little bit James Bond, but it is a good way to have better timing and to make sure you're giving them good information based on what they're doing in the moment.
Yeah. I see a question from Dan LaSalle Alan came in. How do I stop my puppy from biting us and our older pug? Now this is something that we have addressed in a previous live stream. We talked a little bit about puppy nipping, but I just wanted to touch base with you because I think we might have a lot of puppy owners on the live stream right now. And I wanted to mention that your puppy shouldn't have an opportunity to bite your older pug if the puppy's behaving badly. We have a video on our YouTube channel that I see you're on Facebook. Check us out on YouTube at McCann Dogs. We have a video dedicated to introducing your puppy to your older dogs, and a major part of that is the separation. Making sure that your puppy is behaving appropriately, doing, listening to you, doing all these things. But we've got a step-by-step process on the YouTube channel. And if you guys are watching this on our YouTube channel on the replay, I'll post a card for that video above in case you're wondering the same thing. Joan Gallagher says great ideas or good ideas. Thanks. Well, thanks for watching. We're happy to have you here in the train station. Woot, woot. I got one out of her. At some point, I'm sure that I'm going to be able to coax another woot, toot, toot. What if it's like something more fun? Is woot, woot not good?
Toot, toot, toot's a little funnier.
I think Funky likes it. I heard Funky making noises in the background.
Funky likes anything that's funny noises.
Okay. So let's move along. If you guys have any questions, if you're just joining the chat, we're talking about crate training. We're answering our subscribers and Facebook followers questions about crate training. I want to touch base with a couple of the questions that we answered on one of our previous crate training videos. A couple of things that came up, and I think people might have similar thoughts or similar questions in here. So let's go to question 1. And this is Lilia. She's a great follower on our YouTube page, and she's asking all kinds of great questions there. And I appreciate her for asking these questions, because I think the community sense, when I get to answer them there, I think it answers a lot of questions for other people. So,
sure.
As you come up with these things, drop them in the comments below. But around what age are you typically able to trust them without their crate? My 7-month-old puppy definitely cannot be trusted without his pen or crate yet when we are gone. That's a good point. I mean, we are careful about where we leave, what freedoms we give our dogs until they're quite a lot older, until we're sure that they're not going to make bad choices. No.
Okay.
It kind of is. So
okay.
Honestly, going to take away his pen as he's finding ways to be a bit destructive, sometimes even with a bit of freedom now as a teen.
Okay.
She heard a 1-year-old dog, but it depends on the dog. So this is, I think I know where you're going.
Yeah, it definitely does depend on the dog. There's some dogs that are like a little bit more prone to getting into mischief outside of their crate than others. Obviously, the more basic obedience you're doing with the dog, the more quickly this process is going to go by, because they just learn to be respectful and have good manners. Also, I need to make sure that, like, before I decide to leave my dog out of their crate, when I am home and the dog is out of their crate, I feel very confident, in the dog's ability to make good choices. So that's going to be the first thing I'm going to think about. When we are allowing our dogs to have freedom in our house when we're not supervising them, we would, address the dog's overall behavior and decide, like, how well we thought that they were able to make good choices. But then what we would do is we might leave them loose when we, like, run down to the store for a second to get our mail.
Right.
Or, we're away for like 5 minutes. That's it.
Knowing that we've
or we
prepared,
go outside
prepared the area
for a
or
little
something.
bit. Yeah, and of course, everything is fully
Puppy-proofed.
Puppy-proofed. And what we usually do is our kitchen is sort of the main part of our house. So we just put baby gates up so that the dogs can't get into the living room and they can't get down the hallway. So they have, like, our kitchen's pretty big, so they have a pretty significant area to move around and be free, but obviously we're not going to, like, leave dinner out on the
Right.
out on the counter when we give this a go for the first time, but we'll just go outside, or we'll leave for a short amount of time and then we'll come back, and then we'll just build it in from there. But I really wish that I could say, like, an age or a time, but it really just depends. All of our dogs, we have lots of border collies. Ken has a lab. I also have a toy poodle. Hippie, our toy poodle, she was really good about not chewing stuff at a very young age. So she got freedom a lot quicker.
She couldn't get her mouth around a lot of things, I think.
Yeah,
She's
she
so
just
little.
wasn't, although,
She was, like,
you know what
tiny.
she would do? Do you remember this?
We should get her
in our old house. She would climb up on the back of my couch,
yeah.
which was, like, backed up
Right.
onto, like, a counter in our kitchen. And then she'd just walk along the counter and, like, check out what was there.
Yeah.
And if we were cooking, she'd walk over and, like, wiggle at you, and you'd be like, what are you doing up there? So we had to be really strict with her about that.
Terrible
It was
training moments
kind
for
of
us.
funny and
Yeah.
really adorable.
That was the problem. Is
but
you need to, like,
not appropriate.
It's hard to tell her that she's not allowed to do that when you smirk and giggle while she's doing it. We should get her out. I don't think she's been on the live stream in a while.
She's the cutest dog
Yeah, she's
ever.
awfully cute. Now, I hope I wasn't distracting. As Kale was giving all that great information, I started to look at the chat, and I'm feeling good about this, guys. I think that the training train. Someone mentioned you should call it the training train. Yeah, we should, because this is the train station. All aboard the training train. Boop, boop. Kale thinks this is ridiculous, but I love that you guys are on board with it, and I see lots of choo-choos. I caught an interesting question really quickly there. Diane LaSalle Allen mentioned, so should the puppy be in the crate for a good part of the day? To use it as a discipline area? Absolutely, unequivocally no. You never want to use that crate as a discipline area, but what you want to do is make sure that, while your puppy's in their crate, I mean, puppies are going to sleep for the better part of the day anyway. Look at how wild this poodle is.
Oh, my little poodly poo.
Puppies are going to, quiet guys.
Quiet.
Puppies are going to sleep for the better part of the day anyway. But when you have them out of their crate, you do engaging things with them. You're spending quality time with them. You guys who are following us on YouTube know that the focus of our channel is to help you spend quality time with your dog, whether it's tricks or training or, doing fun new things with them and trying new exercises and skills, doing these things. That's what you're going to do. When you're putting them back in their crate, that's the time that they have to relax, to sort of, it's like a bedroom. They can go in, lie down, have a snooze. They've got their water in there. We should actually probably talk about water in the crate.
Yeah,
but
and also length of time in the crate.
Length of time in the crate, good, yeah. Okay, let's get to that. That's good.
So length of time in the crate, when we have a young dog, our dogs spend a lot of time in their crate. And by a lot, I mean more time in their crate than not in a daytime. And some people might think, oh my gosh, like that's so mean or that's a bad thing to do. But we're really big on quality interaction with our dogs. So when they're in a crate, they're doing their own thing and we're doing what we need to get done during the day. But many times throughout the day, I'm going to take a break with what I'm doing and I'm going to get my puppy out. And I don't just, when I have a young puppy, I don't just let them out of the crate and let them like go wherever they want and do whatever they want. She just settled and then
I know. She's just off camera. You should move this way. I want to share the joy that is Hippie Shake on the live
she
stream.
can go on your shoulder then.
Here you go. Buddy.
She likes to go up this
know.
side
Here
and
we
down
go.
this side.
Yep.
Here, up it up.
Oh, she's not sure.
Oh my gosh.
Let's help her out. There we go. Oh, very good.
It's her favorite place to sit.
It is,
Anyways,
strangely.
so dogs, when we let our puppies out, we don't allow them just to sort of go around the house and we're not doing anything with them. When our pups are out of the crate, we're doing stuff with them. So I might be teaching them behaviors. I might be doing some tricks. I might be playing tug. We might be doing some, restraints. We're interacting, we're doing things, and I'm sort of tiring the puppy out. And once, a couple minutes has gone by, because puppies don't have very strong attention spans, she's shoulder hopping now. Then I'm going to take the puppy out for that last pee, give them a quick drink, take them up for a pee, and then I'm going to put them back in their crate, and then they'll be in there for another, hour or so, or maybe longer, depending on my day. And then I'll take them out and I'll do some more training. So they're in and out and in and out and in and out of the crate all day long. But when they're out, there's a lot of quality time spent together. And then, in the nighttime, if we want to sit down and watch TV, we're going to decide, are we cool with sitting down and being kind of distracted because we have a busy puppy with us?
Yeah.
Or do we just want to sometimes when Bea was a puppy, we would just bring her crate in and put it right in the living room at our feet, and she would just, sleep in her crate as we would watch a movie or a show. Or if I felt like dealing with her, then I would have the long line on her, and I might have her up on the couch with me, chewing a bone, or just sort of learning to lie quietly. So she wasn't learning that when we were busy, she could be running around the house like a hooligan and being a crazy girl. So, we do have them spend quite a bit of time in their crate, because what happens when they're puppies is they don't have any training yet. They don't have any skills. There's no verbal control. There's no way to monitor or control the dog with my voice. I'm constantly having to manage. But as, I go through some training classes and I have some basic skills like lie down, stay, come, here, response to name, all that stuff. Now what happens when they're out of their crate is I can now use my obedience skills to control the dog in the house a bit better, which means I don't have to put them away so much. And then that process continues to evolve as your dog gets a little bit more trained until, you have the ability to tell your puppy, you know what, just settle, go and lie down on your bed, just relax. I have 2 more pages to type out on the computer or whatever. But yeah, it's that process. But with a young puppy, you can't just tell them to go and lie down and settle. They haven't learned how to do those things yet, and our job is to train them to do that.
Yeah, and listen. So this is a great transition into our My Dog Can. So if you guys are watching and you're outside of, or too far to travel to our obedience training facility, we do have, and it's actually listed in the notes below, if you're watching on YouTube, maybe on Facebook, our My Dog Can program, where you guys can actually train with us and give your puppy those skills. Develop that come command, where your dog turns and comes to you when they're called every single time. So you'll develop that walking on a loose leash skill, so you don't feel like you're getting dragged down the street. But we also talk about things like the leave it command, the drop command, all sorts of really helpful things. The things we do with our puppies is exactly what we teach in that My Dog Can. But you'll also have the ability to call our professional dog trainers in the office. Communicate with Kale and I in our private Facebook group, stuff like that. So if you're in the the market for dog training or puppy training, then I will tell you, if I were shopping for dog training, My Dog Can would be what I'd get today. It took us 2 years to put My Dog Can together, so that we brought, McCann Professional Dog Trainers has trained over 80,000 dogs to be good family members. And Shannon, the online training director, and I wanted to give our online students the exact same experience as our in-class students, just at a distance. And I think we've done that with My Dog Can. I'm really excited about it. And I know we probably have some My Dog Can students watching us in the live stream today. But great group over there. So if you're looking for dog training, that's a great place to go, for sure. Great starting point. So I noticed Apoyak had a good point. I'm worried about my 2 cats harassing the puppy while she's in the crate. And that's going to be up to you, because it's not really fair if your cats are circling your young puppy while he or she's in his or her crate.
I had a cat that used to do the same thing.
Yeah, so you might have to manage that a little bit, because it's
not really fair to the dog.
No, it's not, and you really want your puppy to know that they're safe and comfortable, and they're not being stalked by 2 cats.
When you have a multiple animal home, unfortunately, until all parties are trained and under control, which you can't really train the cats very well, but you need to just focus on separation. You can't be trying to control, a whole bunch of beings at the same time. Because for kids too, like when you have lots going on, you have to control the resources, and it's easier to train the dogs and the things individually, and then bring the chaos together so that it's not so chaotic anymore.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I see a couple of great things. Lynn Harrison. Oops. Missed that one. It's hard to manage. I'm reaching across Kale here. A really nice note from
Me and the poodle.
from Lynn Harrison Leeton. I thank Jane McCanns for helping us with Winston's fear of the crate. Now he loves it. Thank you. Yeah, and you'll know, Lynn, how beneficial it is to have a dog who loves their crate. You know, it's for all the reasons we mentioned off the top. It's really nice to have a dog who enjoys their crates. So in saying that, if you guys are having questions, you're watching the live stream thinking, geez, I wish my dog had this skill, or maybe he or she doesn't love going in their crate, drop that question in the chat now, and we'll have a chance to answer it before the end of the show. Diane LaSalle says, we'll be looking you up on YouTube. Thank you for your help. Well, thanks for joining us on the live stream, Diane, and look forward to seeing you over there on our YouTube channel.
Melissa Salt said she's going to be bringing her new puppy to classes again. That'll be
very
good,
cool.
really good. I bet there's a lot of instructors that will remember you.
Yes.
And will be happy to see you back. We always like getting return owners and see like the new dogs that they have and hear about their old ones and stuff. That's awesome.
For sure. And even when you are going, and I know Melissa's often on the live streams, and we're so happy to have her. But if you are going to classes, I hope to welcome you back to the train station weekly. And I mean, it's nice to have you back here because we'll be doing weekly train station meetings. So I hope to see you there. Question number 2. From Kazi, and this was I worked with Kazi a little bit just on our YouTube channel, mentioned some suggestions, and she tried some things, and this is actually, I believe, her daughter's dog, but she says, do you have any advice on separation anxiety? Our 8-month-old pup is happy to be in his crate when we're in the room or if we're elsewhere in the house, and he can still hear us. However, when we leave the house, within a few minutes, he starts barking and howling. I've tried leaving a chew treat with him, but he's too distressed to eat them. As soon as I return, he goes straight for the chew and treat. Pardon me. He pants, licks his lips, won't leave my side whenever I've tried leaving him. I'm at the end of my tether and very grateful. If you could advise or direct me to any video you've made on this, I've tried the internet for advice. And this, having worked a little bit or communicated a little bit with Kazi, this was something she needed to. What was happening was she'd leave the dog for an extended period of time. The dog, you get really worried. And we talked just about incrementally leaving your dog. Kale mentioned for you guys that are having trouble with dogs barking in the crate. Well, for you dogs, some of your dogs that might have anxiety, they start to make noise or get excited or whatever. Then you need to break down the skill a little bit before just leaving them and hoping for the best. Oh my goodness, hippie shake! I think she'd choke on some fur.
Oh, it's because she's trying to get out of my arms and I'm holding it, so she's.
But so working through that, she had to break it down, leave the dog for a short period of time, maybe just go into the other room, not be so clear. A lot of people have habits when they leave the house. So I'm just imagining myself getting up to go work for the fire department.
You're not habitual at all.
In the morning, I get up, I go downstairs, I brush my teeth, I get all of my things together for the day, I have a glass of water, and then I head out. Well, at any point, if, our dogs had some expectation of going with me, they would quickly learn that every time I come down in the morning and I start to brush my teeth, they know in a few minutes he's going to be leaving and we're going to be going with him. So you need to be really aware of those things when you're trying to work on things like crate training with your puppy. If you're having any challenges with your puppy, be hyper aware of your habits, your routines, because your puppy is 100% going to pick up on them very, very quickly.
Also, with separation anxiety, you need to make sure that you're not just utilizing the crate when you are going to sleep and when you're going out, because a lot of dogs will assume that the crate means you're going to be leaving them. So the dog needs to be spending more time in the crate when you're just hanging around.
Right.
Lots of people will say, well, I work from home and I don't really need to crate my dog because I'm there all the time. But that doesn't really send the dog great messages. You're not only crating a dog to prevent them from getting into mischief or to keep them safe. You're also doing it to show leadership and gain respect and have rules in your house and things like that. So they need to understand to go in. Now, if you have a dog that is worried about being in the crate, there's lots of things that we've talked about tonight that might help increase a little bit more love for the dog in their crate. But try to make sure that you're not accidentally making it worse by only having them go in situations where they perceive that you're leaving them, because that can be sad for them.
Yeah, for sure. And that would, again, that's that habit, that's that ritual. And this is a really important one. And this is something I struggled with years ago with Deegan, is that I would only have to put her in her crate when I was going, this is what I thought. I would only have to put her in her crate when I was going somewhere, going outside or something. Once I started to integrate the crate into like daily activities, like when I'd go have lunch, or, I'd put her in her crate if I was going to sit down and watch a movie or something, she'd be out lots, but those times just broke up those patterns so that she didn't feel like, oh boy, I'm going in my crate because he's leaving and I'm going to be, here for who knows how long. So be really sure to sort of mix those crate times up for your dog. It's really, really helpful and something that helped me a lot. On to question 3 from Hilt's Shy. I have a 2-month-old Doberman puppy. We've had her for 2 weeks, and although she's fine at night, hasn't slept through yet though. She hates her crate during the day. She won't go in unless she wants it to get a treat, and then runs right out. I've tried giving her treats in there and everything, but once I close the door, she goes ballistic. So let's go back to the train station camera for just a moment and talk about like holding that shaping exercise, but with the dog being quiet. Do you want me to show it off?
Yeah.
Try it? Okay.
You can do it.
Yeah. And it's just an opportunity for me to head over to the train station. Why don't you guys come with me? So with a dog that it makes a lot of noise when they're in their crate, but it's only when you have the door closed, you can try a shaping exercise with them. So Kale showed you guys a great exercise to do with your dog about them not barging out of the crate. So start there. Build value on moving back into the back of the crate, being rewarded in there. And even if your dog, isn't really excited about taking those treats, I'd offer 2 suggestions. Number 1, try this exercise at a feeding time, so that they're a little bit more hungry. And the other one is you're going to use your voice. You're going to use praise sometimes. That's going to be, for some dogs, equally as valuable. But treats is a pretty common currency that dogs understand, and that's why we suggest in a lot of these exercises to use treats. But for a dog that goes crazy when you close the door, I would do the same thing that Kale was showing, and I don't have a puppy in here. I don't really need one. But I would start to close the door, and as it gets close to being closed, if they remain quiet, yes, I can open that door and feed my puppy. I can close this door, and once they remain quiet, I can, yes, praise them, yes, and feed them. If they start to make some noise, hey, quiet. And then the moment that they finally go quiet, that's better, good, quiet. Maybe I can drop a treat in there. I can praise them. I can really acknowledge the moment that they're correct. And it's really what I'm doing is, your puppy may be self-rewarded by barking in their crate, or they may be, just frantic and they want to get out of their crate. But it's really important, if you're trying to crate train them, that you really show them the value of being rested and relaxed and calm inside their crate. And that's one way that you can do it. It's almost a shaping exercise, and instead of barging out, which Kale showed you how to prevent earlier, you're doing the exact same thing with barking if the dog barks only when the door is closed. So I'm going to head back over from the train station, head back over with you guys. Oh yeah, I forgot to say every time I say train station.
Crazy Things I Do has jumped aboard your train.
I love it. See, people love this. Yeah, it's the train station. It's the training train. All aboard the training train. It does sound pretty ridiculous, but I think I'm going to keep this going because I know that I'm going to hear about it from Kale about how ridiculous this was. But it's the training train, and maybe I'll get a little animation that can like zoom by.
Okay, let's go back to crate training.
Back to crate training. Last question. From Stephen Goldberg, and I actually know Stephen Goldberg. He has a coaching channel for like business coaching. He's a really nice guy. I like Stephen. I'm looking to acquire a puppy, and the breeder showed us a kind of wired playpen that could be adjusted for size. But after watching this video, I'm wondering if a crate like you show is better. I thought a fence playpen would be better because it's larger, but they were also suggesting to have a pee pad in the playpen. What's your take on this? And I think maybe you can take the lead here.
No to the pee pad. It's a pretty simple answer. Yeah, I wasn't listening to the first part of the question because I was reading these things coming in.
Are they all about the training train?
No.
So Steven's asking, and it sounds like an X Pen. Sounds like he was thinking about an X Pen for his puppy rather than.
X Pens are okay, but you in addition to X Pens, like we've used X Pens with our puppies, so that's okay. But you do also want to use a crate and have the dog in the crate with the crate door shut. The pee pads in the house are always, it's sort of a bit of a slippery slope because it can really confuse house training for some dogs. So we don't really want to teach them that they can come out of their crate and just sort of go to the bathroom whenever they want to. It doesn't teach them to hold their bladder or to be in control that way. So it's best just to use the X Pen after your dog's already gone outside to the bathroom, so that when you put them in, they don't need to go. And if you want to just give them some opportunity to sort of play in there and have a little time to bomb around, that's fine. But you should be paying attention to them. And if they're having accidents in there, then they're not quite ready to be left in there without your supervision or for lengths of time. And that when you're not paying attention, they should be actually physically inside the crate with the crate door shut.
Yeah. So essentially we'd use the X Pen in conjunction with the crate, because the other benefit of a crate is that it's really transportable. Like you can transport your dog in it and secure it in your vehicle. And an X Pen, it's just sort of a flat. Once you fold them up, if you're not sure what they are, they're like a bunch of panels, basically, that create a fence around your puppy. It's a great way to create a puppy-proof.
They're great for outside.
Yeah, absolutely. Actually, in our when we had that last litter of Border Collies, we had lots of video from them inside the X Pen when we first introduced them to grass.
Yeah.
So if you're on our YouTube channel, you can check out those videos. It was really cute, but the X Pen's perfect for that. Beeline was a baby then. But the confusion with potty training is challenging. Introducing a puppy pad, seems to, in my experience, creates a lot more issues with where they are, where it's safe to go and where it's not safe to go. So choose a crate, but you can also use your X Pen for creating a puppy safe zone in your house.
Melissa was asking a question about the last thing.
I saw it. It was really good. I liked it.
Would you reward for barking in the crate at night when you tap and say shh and quiet? And by reward, you certainly could use your voice to reward.
To praise.
Praise, but I wouldn't worry about physically rewarding them with treats. Yeah. There's no need to do that.
Right.
But yes, you certainly use your praise. Make sure it's well timed. Make sure that the dog's settled and relaxed when you're doing it. Some people are a little bit quick to praise sometimes, so you just want to make sure that they're settled and they're relaxed. But no need to feed them in that moment. Just using your voice will be praise enough, will be rewarding enough.
Yeah, I love that comment, because I think that's something that people probably, they often do. They often reward their dogs very quickly, like give them food because they think that that's the right thing.
Yeah.
But
dogs need to be doing a behavior for like a moment or so before,
think of it like a paycheck.
Before they're getting reinforcement. So we see a lot of people, tap the crate and then go yes right after. It's like if I stomped on Ken's foot and then gave him a chocolate bar, he let me stomp on his foot all day long. Wouldn't you?
I love chocolate bars.
So we want to make sure that the timing is so that I'm, interrupting the dog, waiting for a few moments of quiet, and then I'm praising, so the dog's not confused as to what the praise is coming for, and that they're actually getting a few moments of settled behavior before they're being reinforced.
Yeah, really great. And I see great minds think alike, because the Doberman guy mentioned that, let's see if it goes up to the, my pudgy fingers didn't send it very well. Anyway, the Doberman guy mentions that some people praise out of time, and that can really create confusion for your puppy. And the important thing here is all about clarity for our puppies. But I want to thank you guys for joining us today. We had tons of great questions. I hope
good questions.
Yeah, I hope that we helped you out. If you have any more crate training questions, be sure to drop them in the comments below, whether it's on Facebook or YouTube. I thank you guys for stopping in at the train station, hopping on the training train.
And if you have other things that need to be, that you have questions about as far as puppy training or dog training goes, that you feel would be a great live stream topic, we're coming up with ideas all the time, but if there's something specific that you'd like to hear us talk about, or if you want to ask questions about, don't be afraid to give us those suggestions, and we'll see if something is a good thing for us to talk to everybody
Yeah, for
about
sure.
that lots of people would have issues with.
Yeah, and it's a great opportunity for us to help you guys out with whatever that issue may
Yeah.
be. But if this is your first time on our YouTube channel, make sure you hit that subscribe button. We publish new videos every single week to help you spend some quality time with your four-legged family members. And if you guys are watching us on your Facebook feed, thanks for spending the time with us. We hope we were able to help you guys out. And on that note, the training train has left the station. Thanks for joining, guys. Woot woot.
Oh my